Well, that brings me to my most burning question for you, because as you know, I'm intensely jealous of your creativity. I try never to ask authors, where do you get your ideas? Because I know the real answer is you don't completely know. But dang it, Laura Martin, where do you get your ideas? Because you've grabbed dinosaurs in Indiana. You've got kids at camp that have superpowers. And now when Hoax for Hire comes out, you'll have a group about, well, as much as we could say, you'll have characters who fake conspiracy theory type hoaxes. And when I read that on paper originally, I was like smacking my head, like, Kent, don't you write about UFOs?
I know, you love that stuff. I'm sure it killed you.
And now Laura's got it. So where do you get your ideas, and how can I get to them first next time?
Well, Edge of Extinction series was 100% by accident. I was on fall break. I was teaching at the time, and I went to the Natural History Museum in New York, and there was a little case off to the side with this little tiny dinosaur that was about the size of like a golden retriever. And I took a picture of my cell phone, and I said, oh, like, what if dinosaurs came back? Would we have them as pets someday? Like, would this kind of dinosaur replace dogs and that kind of thing? And I always, when I go and do author visits, I tell kids they need to capture what I call what ifs, because every single book starts with a what if. You know, we all go, what if this was true? Yours for Banneker Bones is, what if giant robot bees attacked? You know, what if alligator people were around? So for me, it was, what if dinosaurs came back? And I captured that idea with my cell phone. I didn't write it down. And then months later, my cell phone said, you're out of storage, delete something. So I was like deleting all these random dinosaur pictures. And I saw that one, I went, oh yeah, like, what if dinosaurs came back? And I had this image of this girl running to get the mail in a world where dinosaurs are back, and something simple like getting the mail isn't simple anymore. And that's chapter 1. So I just literally like sat my phone down and I started writing chapter 1 because I had this idea. Float, like I said, that came from my dad's stories growing up. I've been hearing those my whole life. I'd asked to hear the story about them lighting the lake on fire more times than I can count. So I had to imagine that if it intrigued me as a kid, and it's funny, anytime I drop lighting a lake on fire at a school event, all the kids go, what? You know, how do you light a lake on fire? And so you know you got them there. And then Hoax for Hire was actually brewing for a really long time. When I was at Butler, I had the idea of like, what if there was a family and they were all like the villains, like all the bad guys? And you know, I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And then when I was teaching, I actually used to teach a book, and I think I have it right here, called Tales of the Cryptids. It was a nonfiction book that I used to use as a teacher to kind of show kids how to identify, you know, nonfiction things. And it's all about things like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, and there's a whole part in the back about all the different creatures out there that we, you know, think may or may not exist. And this was the #1 book that kids loved to do. You know, I pulled this book out, and every single kid wanted to know about the Loch Ness Monster. Like, there wasn't one kid who was bored by it. And I would pull up all these fun video clips about people hunting for the Loch Ness Monster. So I said, you know, what if one entire family was responsible for all of these hoaxes? You know, and it's impossible if you really think about it, but in the world of a book, you can make all things possible with the right wording. So that's kind of where that idea came from, but it comes from all over the place. I try to capture, anytime I have an interesting what if idea, I try to capture it somewhere. I write it down or I put it in my phone so that later when I have time to think about it and all the kids are in bed, I can go back and see if that idea has any merit and see if it's something I want to run with. But you always have to make sure you look at them quickly. If you let a what if idea sit too long, sometimes you go back and you look at it and you go, what was I thinking there? Like, what was the idea? So you have to kind of keep on top of your what if ideas.
Past Laura seemed awful excited about this. I wish she were here to tell me.
I know. I've like woken up from like having weird dreams and like quick, like type something in my phone, half asleep, and then fallen back asleep, and woken up and been like, what did I think? What was my dream about? So
do you write down all your ideas and keep a journal or a log someplace of the good ones?
I wish I was that organized. I do have, like on my cell phone, I have the Notes app, and I have all my notes on there. But there's pieces of paper flying all over the place. I have like one of those old like Filofax, like, you know, that you can like stick all your papers in. I have one of these.
Like an accordion folder?
Like an accordion folder, yep. This is not it. It's over here on the floor. It's so stuffed you can't even see it. But I try, anytime I get a cool idea that I write down on scrap paper, I just shove it in there. This is so unorganized. And then when I want to come up with an idea or I'm trying to search for a new idea, I just pull them all out and I take a look at all these ideas and go, oh, that one looked really, you know, see which one kind of sparks the imagination, which one is worth running with.
Stephen King told me, and I believed him, because why wouldn't I? And he didn't tell me, he told the whole world that you should never write an idea down. You should let the ideas compete in your mind, kind of Hunger Games style, to figure out which idea you really want to write about. The problem with that is then when I go and I sit down, I say, okay, need a great idea. I wish I had a folder I could reach for and pull out my great ideas.
I always tell kids that what if ideas aren't sticky? They won't stick in your head. And I always tell kids, like, you're the perfect age for what ifs. Middle school, and grade school kids in particular. I remember as a kid sitting there and you'd have like 10 awesome ideas in one class period sometimes. But by the end of the day, you can't recall one of them because our brains aren't hardwired to remember every cool, wonderful, weird, wacky idea that we have. We're hardwired to remember, like, I should probably eat lunch today. So if you don't write them down, those get lost forever. And I always tell kids the only difference between you and a writer is that writers know that when we get a really good idea, we need to grab it and we need to do something with it. It is just saving it somewhere. And I love that idea of like having ideas compete in your head. And I maybe do that when I spread all my ideas out on the table. But I have so much going on in my head, watching my 2-year-old not maim himself. I feel like 2-year-olds are like tornadoes, and if you don't watch them 24 hours a day, they like, are on top of the table ready to fall off. So I don't have time to like let those ideas compete. I need to focus on other things. So it's when I sit down and I can pull out all those ideas. Because like I said, I'm tired and hungry a lot of the time. So if I just like let them, hope I'll remember them when I have time, it's not going to happen.
I think we've identified the flaw in my strategy because I often forget about real life and the things that are supposed to matter, I'm supposed to pay attention to. But I'm absolutely 100% concentrated on these imaginary characters and their problems.
It's hard sometimes because you're living 2 lives. I always tell kids that, being a writer, you get to have imaginary friends who answer you and no one thinks you're crazy. So it's great.